Hello, welcome to the Java, no, not Java tutorial, Python tutorial, the sixth video in the series. We're going to be going over increment operators. Now, I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to name it increment operator 1. So, increment operator 1. Um, so, increment operators are pretty neat. Now I'll show you by demonstration. So let's say I want to have somebody take a number. So let's say num1, I'm going to instantiate num1, and that equals input of just number. It's very simple. So we're going to do that. It does nothing now. Number equals 5. So that does nothing right now, but what we're going to do is we're going to basically modify num1. So you can print let's say num1 plus 2, and that'll print. Okay, so okay. So we're also going to cast this as an integer because it makes it a lot easier to work with. So let's say we want to say num1 plus 2. As you can see, I kind of got that wrong down here. So the number is 5 and comes out as 7 because you're adding 2 to it. Now we're going to mutate this. So we're going to modify it. We're not going to mutate it. We're going to modify it. So what we're going to do is now num1 still equals 5 if it still equals the number you entered in. And I broke it. It still equals the number you entered in. So it'll print out 5 plus 2, but it still equals 5. Now, what we're going to do now is we are going to edit it so now it equals 7. So this operator right here is called plus equals. That means you're going to add whatever is right here to the number, and then that will equal whatever is right here. So it will basically make it so that it's basically this statement: num1 equals num1 plus 2. And it's a condensed way of saying this. So you don't have to write out, if you have long variables, you don't have to write them out like 2 times. Now, basically, there's a couple of these. There's plus equals, there's minus equals, there's multiply equals, there's divide equals, if you get where I'm going here. There's modulus equals, and there's 2 asterisks. 2 asterisks equals, it's hard to say. And there's also this thing called floor division. I've never used it. I don't know what it is. We're going to leave it out because I don't know what it is. So this is used for, exponents. This is used for modulus. This is used for division. This is used for multiplication. It's used for subtraction. And of course that's used for addition up here. Now, these will all make it so that the variable now equals a different form of itself. So I can do num1. Now I'm gonna print out num1 to show that it's changed. Now I'm gonna do num1 minus equals 2. You can guess that this is going to return it to 5. And now we can also multiply it. So let's say whatever we want to multiply by. So num1 multiply equals 5, and it'll equal that number multiplied by 5. Now let's say we want to divide it. Divide equals 5, print num1. And then at the end, we are going to we can also make it equal to the remainders of a certain of dividing itself by another number. So modulus equals, say we're gonna do by 3. I believe that'll come out as 2, but I'm not sure. Then at the end, we're gonna have an exponent. We're gonna put to the power of 4. So num1 exponent equals 4. Let's run this. Let's put the number 5 in there. As you can see, we printed out our first number. That's just basically the fake number. It has the num1 still equals 5 right here. We just added 2 to it in the print statement. Now this is num1 originally. That's num1 after we've added 2 with plus equals 2. That's num1 after we've minus 2 from it. So now it's back to 5. This is it when we've multiplied it by 5. This is it when we've divided it by 5. This is it when we've used 5 modulus 3 on it. So it returns the remainder of that number. It returns the remainder of this number divided by this number. And then we just gave that number an exponent. So we gave it to the power of 4. 2 to the power of 4 is 16. We then set 16 to num1 all in one statement, and we printed it, and now it outputs 16. So that's pretty simple. We're gonna become usually in programming languages, it uses, when you want to add 1, you do plus plus, and when you want to subtract 1, you do minus minus, but that doesn't work in Python. But basically, you're gonna see this a lot. num1 plus equals 1. Let's say you're going through, you're gonna come to loops, and that's basically something that runs for a certain amount of time, and you want to record how many times this program is run. And you have a counter. So every single time it runs, you do plus equals 1, and when it ends, you can return num1, and it'll return with your variable with however many times it's run. And that's pretty useful, but that's about it for these operators, these increment operators. Yeah, that's about it for these. The next video we'll be doing if statements. If statements are exciting. They are the first big, they're extremely useful. They're used in every program. And after that, hopefully, we are getting the logical operators, and we're getting to while loops and for loops, which are some of the most important statements and loops in all of programming. Just by saying that, I could have made this whole thing. It's mostly for loops, if statements, and while loops. The only difference is I have functions just to save time, but I could have created all of this in using just if statements, for loops, and while loops. So they're pretty important, to say the least. Um, so yeah, that's about it. Stay tuned for the next videos because they're going to be very useful. So I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.